Welcome to Face the Citizens. Speaking during her communication to the MPs during the State of Nation Address 2019, on June 6, 2019, the Speaker of Parliament, Honorable Rebecca Kadaga, paid glowing tribute to members of Parliament. She noted that they had performed exceptionally well in the last session, saying that attendance of committees and plenary were better than before. What are your expectations as audience gathered here? As Ugandans, what do you say? Welcome to Face the Citizens. In the auditorium here, we have the Honorable Speaker of Parliament, Honorable Rebecca Alitwala Kadaga. She's joining us to answer some of the questions to assess the role of Parliament, the performance of Parliament in the last session. Honorable Speaker, you're most welcome.
Thank you very much.
Madam Speaker, you have a role given to you by the Constitution, Article 79, making laws, oversighting, and ensuring that you represent the people of Uganda with your colleagues, MPs. What is it that you have done that we can celebrate as Ugandans?
Thank you very much. During the third session, I think we can celebrate the number of bills passed. This session we surpassed our output of the first and second session, and also compared to the region, we did really well with 26 pieces of legislation.
26 in number?
Yes, 26.
What are you comparing with? Or which country are you comparing with?
I'm comparing with our neighbors in Kenya. I think they were below 20.
Okay.
Yes, so we did quite well.
Okay. And are those laws that can help the people of Uganda, say, transform themselves?
Yes, we did quite a bit on different laws. We had two laws on health. Okay. We had the Mental Health Act. It's a subject which people don't normally talk about, but we were able to make a law on that one. And then we also had another one on complementary medicine. We also legislated on that one because there are medicines that are regulated by statute, but there are also other medicines that are used, and we had to look at how they can be brought into play and how they can be regulated and so on. So in the health, we had two legislations. Of course, in finance, we had many. The revenue bills, I think we had over 6 of them. The VAT bill, the excise duty, tax procedures, so those were many, the finance were many, but those are statutory anyway. We have to do them every year. And then we did a few others on the roads. We did a new law for the roads. We did a new law we amended the Civil Aviation Authority Act. And
this is the one to revitalize Uganda Airlines?
No.
What is this one about?
It was to improve operations of the airport.
Okay.
Yeah.
On the complementary medicine, someone would want to know, an ordinary Ugandan would want to know, how does this particular law help address maybe the problem of treatment of an ordinary Ugandan, or access to medicine, access to a doctor? Does it have any connection with that?
To the extent that one would now be able to access medicine officially, because in this country we have people who are engaged in research, who are engaged in production of indigenous herbs and so on. But for a long time they were regarded as taboo, and people were not allowed to use them officially.
The Mama Finas of this world?
I don't know, something like that. So what we are saying is that yes, we have what we call the European medicine, but there's also that which comes from our indigenous people and which can be used.
So you are now saying that it will be easy for researchers in the health sector to go out to the bush, pick plants and all that, leaves, and then test them. That was not very easy in the past.
It wasn't easy in the past.
Okay.
So now they could be accepted in within the health system, so that if you have it, you're using it or giving it to the people, it will not be like an offense.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about on the issue of governance? How have you performed on the issue of governance? We saw so much discussion in this last session on issues of electoral reforms, and has this session done something to to correct or to make better the discussions towards election that is approaching?
We have had general debates on the issue, but the problem with the electoral legislation is that normally it emanates from the government.
Okay.
And we have been asking for some time that the laws be brought, if the amendments be made, budgets be made for certain situations, we should do it early, but they have not yet come. But in the second session, we did something on the youth councils, the women councils, and at the other levels of the local government, but not at the national level. So I'm hoping that during this fourth session, that the government really come with these proposals.
There were a number of calls for reforms, especially the opposition put in a lot of appeal. And this was in line with, you remember the Mbabazi petition against Museveni, and the Supreme Court ruling and saying that electoral reforms should be brought in time. And they gave it as among the 8 recommendations that were in the Supreme Court judgment. Do you think as Parliament you're going to push government in this coming session to ensure that this is done before we enter proper into the election itself?
We did accept a proposal from the Shadow Attorney General on a number of constitutional reforms. There are a number of proposals both in the Constitution and also in elections. So we are going to give it time during this fourth session so that we can debate it and see how to move.
Okay. You talked about in your address at the State of Nation, you praised your members and you said that their attendance was good. Which session were you comparing it to? Were you comparing it to the second session, the one before this one that has just ended? And how was that performance compared to this one?
The performance was compared to, especially to how quickly work was, the turnaround time for work, it had improved. But also it had to do with the decision we took at the end of the second session that we should dedicate particular sittings of Parliament, particular meetings to particular things. For instance, the first meeting, which has started now, until October, is for legislation. It was a new system we adopted, and then the second meeting from October to November would be for receiving reports.
Okay.
And then the final meeting, the third meeting of the session, is for budget. So we're able to put pressure on the committees to ensure that they try as much as possible not to run into the other bills, should not run into the report session, the meetings, and reports should not run into the budget.
Okay.
So I think that one helped. So members, there was much more concentration.
Okay. Madam Speaker, there was one time that your members started complaining that the time given for them to debate in the House is too short, just a little like this, 2 minutes, and yet they have come all the way from Kotido, someone from Kisoro, someone from Yumbe, they are all here, someone from Kamuli. They come here and they want to speak at least for 10 minutes, but the time given is too short. What are you going to do about that complaint?
No, it's not possible. It's no longer possible to have members speak for 10 minutes, but we have general debates in the state after the State of the Nation where we do give 5 minutes. That one you can talk about many issues in those 5 minutes, but the ordinary outside the State of the Nation address, we'll go back to the 3 minutes. The members are so many, it would mean we have to really sit both day and night, and it's not feasible. So, but if you're focused, in 3 minutes you can deliver what you really want.
There is another thing that came up in this last session, the issue of COSASE. And you have been at the forefront of trying to guide. I think last week you also had to guide COSASE again, and they are handling things that you disagree with, in a manner that you disagree with. What exactly is happening as far as COSASE is concerned?
Some time back, after the old COSASE had completed their report, so one of the officials of the Bank of Uganda wrote to the Auditor General to say that they have some new matter on an old audit report which they want to submit. So the Auditor General said, no, we closed that chapter. We'll pick it up another time. So so somehow they smuggled it.
Who smuggled?
I don't know. I don't sit in the committees. It found its way into the new COSASE committee. So that's why I told them that matters that were closed can only be done, one, after the government has responded with the Treasury Memorandum, or if you feel stronger about what we decided, you come to the House, move a motion to say, I want this matter reviewed. It should be debated and voted on in the House. You can't just decide what you want to report. You see, our system is that the work done in the committees is work of the plenary. So if I don't assign you something...
the committee does work on behalf of the
yes,
whole House.
And I must assign you that work officially. You cannot do your own work and then come on. You can't report to me because I didn't assign you that work. And now if you have two reports on the same issue, what do you do? So that's why I said, please, don't reopen the others, do other work.
Does it mean that the committee chairpersons, committee heads, are too powerful that they can decide on their own before you guide them to do whatever they want? Because we have seen COSASE, not just this time that you guided them last week, even before, you find there is a lot of complaint about the chairperson or the leaders of some committees. How do we handle this? How do we make sure that they don't run as if they're running their personal businesses?
Well, I think what I can say is that members are not at the same level of experience and knowledge of about the rules of procedure, but it's important for them to keep checking with the Speaker on what the work they are doing. Because either you go to the Speaker or you have to come back to the House, but because the rules are clear. Okay. If you want something reviewed, you come back to the House. You
talked about members having different levels of experience, which brings me to ask you about quality of our MPs. Some people have said because the numbers are too big, maybe quality. Recently, the Speaker, I think about last month, your Deputy Speaker during plenary expressed disappointment with the quality of MPs' debate, that the level of debate is low. What do you have to say about that, Madam Speaker?
Again, what I can say is that the members who are in Parliament are elected by their people. Once they're elected, they must accept them. The benchmarks have been set in the Constitution, so we take what they bring. So
a product in, a product out, so to speak.
Yes.
Whatever we have is what we deserve.
Well, the voters voted for those people. They were given a letter from the Electoral Commission saying you have been elected member. So they come, we give them an oath, and they start working. So the quality depends on the input. So I think that's what I'll say for now.
But Honorable Speaker, do you think that the ordinary Ugandan voter understands the quality that they should be elected? Do they understand the role that MPs are supposed to perform, and that this is the quality that we should send to debate with Honorable Kadaga, Honorable Lanya? Do you think that is there a civic education kind of that can make them understand through sensitization?
I think if we had invested over time in civic education, it would help. But what I see is that civic education is built around the elections. And after that, everybody goes to sleep. So, people have voted for different reasons. This one is very beautiful, this one is like this. This one is a good dancer.
A good dancer?
Yeah, Ugandans can vote for you for many reasons. So that's what we have. That's what we have. And the voters, some of them are here.
and what as a speaker, I suggest that we should get maybe a proposal on solutions to this. How do we build the civic competence of that ordinary Ugandan voter? Because we should be improving. 6th Parliament, 7th, 8th, 9th, now we are in 10th. I think that we should have some improvement, don't you think so?
I think as a government, there's an obligation to do continuous civic education. But I think it has not been prioritized, it has not been funded. It has been left to the civil society. I don't think there's any government body that is actually doing civic education. So I think as a country, we need to pull up our socks and attend to that aspect of our governance.
Okay, this is Face the Citizens. We are going for a break now. After we come back, the citizens will be asking the Honorable Speaker the questions. Let's go for that break. Welcome back from that break, and now we are into that segment when we bring the issues to the public, to you, the Ugandans who are here in the auditorium and out there. Let me see the first question or comment to the Right Honorable Madam Speaker of Parliament. Keep it short and precise and to the point so that we can have as many questions as possible.
Yeah, my name is Mjas Ronald from Makerere. All I wanted is the Right Honorable to substantiate about the issue of absenteeism in the Parliament, whereby most of the bills have been presented in the absence of most parliamentarians, and then they get wonders how, when, and why it was presented. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. I'm happy to see you doing well and healthy. My concern, though, would be on the bills that are being passed. I know that Uganda, we have very beautiful bills, we have very beautiful laws, but our challenge has come when it comes to implementation. So my request would be, on this rate that we are passing the bills, adopting them and enacting them, can we put the same energy in also implementing?
Thank you so much. Beautiful laws. Madam Speaker has forgotten the name.
My name is Rona Ahumuza. I work with Uganda Youth Network.
Thank you so much. My name is Musafiri Joel. Right Honorable Speaker, you spoke about electoral reforms. To me, this beats me so far. For the years I've existed, I've always been hearing electoral reforms, but amazingly, of recent, when the MPs wanted to enact something that pushes their years to further, it was quickly taken up. I'm wondering, why don't we take up the electoral reforms as quick as we take things that affect us directly? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Honorable Speaker, for coming through. Mine is...
the name?
My name is Munira Nalunga. I work with Uganda Youth Network. Yes, so Parliament is mandated to do oversight role to the executive. But then we see committees doing work and proposing recommendations. So my question is, how far are these recommendations implemented? Are they just proposals or binding to the executive? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And we are proud of you as Ugandans. My worry is the
name?
Chibuka is my name, from Namsindwa district. My worry is the 3 minutes that are given to members of Parliament. Don't you think there is need for us to reduce on the numbers of the area members of Parliament so that we can have quality work?
You are proposing reduction of the MPs?
Yes.
Are you therefore proposing also a reduction of the constituencies and districts?
Definitely, because I will never say.
Okay, Madam Speaker, you have trouble there to suggest that to government. Those were 5 questions. Madam Speaker, let's first respond to that, and then we take more round.
Okay, the first one is
absenteeism.
Ronald. Yeah, that a lot of bills are passed in the absence of, you know, the general debate. You do not have to have everybody there. It's actually at the time of the final voting that we are required to have at least a substantial number of people. Depending on the bill, there are those which require really to take a roll call. So everybody must be accounted for, but there are those where you do voice voting. So general debate, it's not necessary to have everybody, but when you are taking the decision, that's what I would answer to.
That's the procedure.
Yes. Now, Ahumuza, implementation of the laws. Yes, indeed, I agree with you. And it's the Parliament which proposed in, I think, the 6th Parliament, no, 7th, when we created the Budget Act. Because we had been making laws, and then after some years you ask what happened to this law, then they say, no, you see, we had no money to implement it. Then we said, but why did you bring the bill in the first place? Why did we waste our time sitting, doing research, discussing? So we brought the Budget Act, where each ministry or any mover of a bill should come with a certificate of financial implication saying, yes, I brought this law, I have also got a budget, whether for recruiting new officers or implementation. But unfortunately, implementation is not in our hands, to the hands of the government. Our work is process the law and then we hand it over to the government. But I agree with you that in many areas there is poor implementation. And the other, what I can add is that we don't popularize the laws as we should. In other countries, once a law is made, they have regional centers where they send the text of the new law, they send it to Kitgum, they send it to Namisindwa, they send it to Kisoro, so that there's a place where the citizens can go and read the law and so on. But I agree with you that implementation sometimes is not moving as it should. Now, Joel, you wanted to know, you know, there is a Article 93 of the Constitution which prohibits Parliament from even discussing something that will increase the cost on the consolidated fund. The matter you're talking about, members were already in Parliament, the local government people were already there, so it was not going to be an extra cost. So that's why it was possible to move that one. So the major ones, you may want to say we are, okay, creating a new constituency. We must have money. We must have a confirmation that the money is going to be there. So Article 93 is very difficult on the side of Parliament. You're not even allowed to discuss the matter, so long as it's going to increase the cost of the consolidated fund. That's why we have to wait for the owner of the money, which is the government, to come with a bill and say, okay, I brought this bill. I want to create more members of the Electoral Commission or create more electoral offices in the country. It will cost so much, so you support me. So that's the problem we have, Joel. Nalunga, recommendations of the committees. We work in partnership, but majorly our recommendations are advisory unless they contain an ultimatum. But sometimes they go by recommendations, sometimes they don't. That's why they are supposed in 6 months to come back and say, in January, you made this resolution. We have partially done what you wanted. We have not been able to do this because for this reason. They're supposed to come back and say, thank you for the advice. This one we've accepted, this one we have not, and give us reasons. That's how the Parliament works.
Maybe in addition to that question on oversight, Madam Speaker, was it last week when you expressed concern over preparedness by government people over when they are making bills in preparation to bring to you, yes, to Parliament? What do you think is going to be the solution? What do you propose?
You know, it's very frustrating.
Are you defeated also?
Frustrated. I can sound frustrated.
You have to. You are the third most important person in the country.
Yes.
You must not be frustrated, Madam. What about these members? How much will they be frustrated?
I'm saying I'm frustrated because I had a plan, and I told the government in the first session, I said, as much as possible, bring the electoral forms in the second session. Yeah. But at most, bring them in the third, because I had a time frame for how I want to do that work. Because I know that this fourth session, you know, already people are walking around in the constituencies, you know. So members say, hey, somebody was in your village yesterday addressing a rally. So I say I'm frustrated because they did not adhere to the plan. I had wanted all those things done before May 2019, so that we finish with them. If it's a question of budgeting, we budget for them. If it's a question of recruiting more officials, we do it. We're in good time.
Okay.
What I don't like is the stampede. Okay. Because what happened during the conclusion of the budget, the minister brought an addendum. After bringing the appropriation bill, he was making changes. Budget committee had sat, they had written their report, then he came. So what do we throw him away? Do we accommodate him? Accommodating means must sit again. And also call the sector committees, say, look at this, look at this, look at. So that's why I say I am frustrated, but not defeated. Edie, you know, this is two ways. Would want members to speak more, yes. Reduce Parliament. Now, this morning, I had a delegation from Bali, the youth. They want their city. The city comes with additional constituencies. Today, just this morning. And this was the second time they were coming. They wanted to come at the end of May, then their leaders came first. So I said, okay, I've got the subject, I know what you want. But they said, no, we are also now as young people want to talk to you about the city. So the other day, we also had people in Soroti very angry. Why are we not having a city? City will come with additional constituencies. His Majesty the Kabaka was in Masaka. He said, Masaka is due for a city. So,
And that is the people who have spoken?
Yes, the people have spoken. So what do we do? It's an issue of representation. I think at some stage we shall discuss it as a country and agree. Otherwise, this is the price we have to pay.
Some people also think that the two of you as speakers are overwhelmed. You clearly get overwhelmed, and then there is too much work to do. You are also a member of parliament. You have to go to the constituency. Honorable Olanya is also is a member of parliament. That there was a talk about panel of speakers. How far have you gone with that proposal, and where is in the pipeline, where is the stage for that discussion?
Now, that has been a discussion ongoing since 2005. When the late Honorable Ayumi was the speaker, he had wanted to have a speaker's panel then. But when he brought the proposal to the House, the government fought hard against it and it was defeated. We tried in the 9th Parliament to introduce it in the rules again, it was defeated. So recently I told these members that, you know, I'm going to ensure that this is effected without the support of the government.
Okay.
So we are going to do that during this session.
Okay.
Yeah.
Madam Speaker, what about, there are people who have said so many complaints about corruption, and MPs have also been, pointed at as being involved, and then some people have been complaining bribery within Parliament. To what extent is that true, and what are you doing about that, which affects negatively, in my view, the credibility and trust in the House?
On issues of corruption, I don't think it's just about the House. I think I've talked about corruption everywhere. I've talked about it in the government, I've talked about it everywhere, so it's not just for me a question of Parliament, but let's not hide our heads under the sand. We are living in Uganda, and it is true, there is corruption in this country. So my work is really to warn. I've been trying to do some investigation so that I can catch somebody, but people do things in secret.
Actually, hear our current law. Why don't you amend the law? Because the current law is that both the giver and the person who gets are all culprits.
They should be caught in flagrante.
They should all.
They should be caught in flagrante delicto. Because now, if they are not together, how can I prove that? Oh, the one man can give so and so. You hear, but getting the evidence. One day I was told that there are people who are harassing particular PS. So I said, okay, I'm going to call this PS. I think the PS said, you come here. Then when the PS came, I said, now, who has been demanding from you? Have you given? I said, no, I don't know where you got this. Now she said, no, it's not true. So I was stuck. On the one hand, I've been told it is true. Now the person who is supposed to have been giving is saying it is not true. Now, so I remain there in the air.
So the accounting officers and all these executive officers cannot tell you the truth. Is it because MPs are too powerful? Parliament is definitely powerful because you will come back to them. They appropriate. So if you need money next year, you will have to come back to them. You cannot.
I would be happy if someone came and told me the truth, so that we can make an example of whoever is engaged in corruption.
Okay.
But
Okay, let's go for a break right now. This is Face the Citizens. When we come back, we shall be in our last segment, but we shall take more questions and more, of course, comments coming from you, the audience in the auditorium here. Let's go for that break. Welcome back from that break. We are right into our last segment of Face the Citizens here coming to you from the Wizards Auditorium here at Wizards Foundation. And in the studio is the Right Honorable Speaker of the Uganda Parliament, Speaker of the 10th Parliament, Honorable Rebecca Alitwala Kadaga. Honorable Speaker, before we went into the break, there was a question on whether or not you should reduce your number in Parliament. Someone said this one is very hard, that how can you expect monkeys to determine the fate of a forest? But please, just first expound on that. Should your numbers be reduced? Someone asked in the audience there.
Obviously, I would be happy to have members speak for longer. But the question of whether to reduce or not is not a matter for Parliament. It's a matter for the whole country. That's why I said that you're talking about reducing, but just this morning, people are talking about increasing. That's why I told you about the young people from Bali. They wanted their seat, and the seat will come with divisions. It will also come with the woman MP. Same thing with Soroti. And I told the Kabaka, was there very vigorous saying Masaka deserves a city. So they are talking about increasing. But going back to the 3 minutes, when we are working, you calculate that, okay, I have this bill. If we do a general debate for so many minutes, maybe 1 hour, if I give everybody 3 minutes, we shall have 40 people speaking on that issue. Then you make sure that the independents have spoken, the NRM have spoken, the DP, the UPC, and so on, the UPDF if they are there. So those that you hear from different shades. But this is not unique to Uganda. If you went to the House of Commons, you'll even find, they have what, I don't know what they call it, they have a monitor. So Lord Fisher will speak for 1.5 minutes. It is there on the board. Sometimes within the party, they can say we have a total of 15 minutes. Our biggest person, the biggest voice, speak for 5. Then with the other 10, I give 3 here, we'll 2 here. Then say, Lord Fisher, 1.5 minutes. So it's not unique. But if you're a focused person, you just concentrate. You don't, some people start by making preambles. Say, okay, I don't want an introduction. Go straight to the point. What do you want, an amendment? Propose it. So one has to be focused in what they're presenting.
Okay. I'm Magero Andrew from KYC, a member of the Uganda Youth Network. My question is on appropriation and the budget process. Whereas there are some few civil society organizations like CSBAG that are doing a lot of work to ensure that us, the citizens, are involved in the process of budgeting, the inclusion of the citizens is still lacking overall, because these civil society organizations are limited to maybe Kampala and a few urban areas. What is Parliament doing to ensure that more and more citizens are included in this process of budgeting?
Thank you so much, Ageno. Next.
Thank you very much, Charles. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My name is Joel Mukisa. The infamous Tojikwatako debacle revealed very many important things, but most significantly, most MPs represent the ideas of their parties and they ignore the ideas of the people who vote them. Now we understand this is a multi-party dispensation, but Right Honorable Speaker, if you could guide, what way are the MPs supposed to take? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, John.
My name is Samunya Venda. Thank you so much, our Speaker, for the work well done. Mine is about sexual harassment of personal assistants. It was last week that when I heard the news about the sexual harassment of personal assistants by our parliamentarians. How will they fight the sexual harassments in workplaces and institutions if they are harassing their personal assistants? Thank you.
Good question, good question.
Thank you, Right Honorable. Subgama Collins from Chambogo University. My issue is about the COSASE, which was led by Honorable Katutu. It made many recommendations, and what has been the Parliament's take on those recommendations?
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. My name is Felix from Macquarie University Business School. It's an honor to see you physically for the first time. It's really a good thing. Yeah. My question is, it's based on, because I remember some time ago, funds were allocated for building a dam in Karamoja, and on TV one time I watched a member of Parliament that I wouldn't love to say the name say, there is already a dam constructed in Karamoja, and from today until tomorrow I've never seen even a digging of a dam in Karamoja. Is there a way they can, a way of following up the funds that have been allocated to do such things and, find out on that. Thank you so much.
Would you want to limit that question to your village or your constituency or your area?
No,
because
no.
there are some dams, there are reports that Kenyan pastoralists bring animals across the border into Uganda in Karamoja area because of the dams, and there have been, are you saying that we can't see them?
No, I've not seen.
Okay, let's have this one hand here.
Maybe he could tell us the...
Which village?
The place so that I can send a team there.
In Moroto.
In the municipality?
In the municipality, yeah.
You come from the municipality and there are no dams there?
Okay, there are just these normal dams, but not the one that was allocated, because it was supposed to benefit the whole locality.
Okay.
Yeah, because of
Madam
it's
Speaker,
a semi...
you need to investigate that through your good office.
My name is Frank Otema. I do work with Faraja Africa Foundation. We do work with the youth. Right Honorable Speaker, I'd like you to enlighten more on the tax that was really levied on mobile money that affected really the youth.
Okay. Tax on lastly?
On top of that, just a second please. On top of that, what do you have to take what the MP said that we, the local citizens, should pay their internet services in Parliament?
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My name is Cotton Sonia. I want to thank the committees.
We are now tight on time.
Well, having appreciated the functions of the sexual committees, I would like to request or recommend that why can't we have most feasible ways of having this oversight role more functional? I would propose that we have functional barazas at the district level, even at sub-county level, where
barazas at the local level. Good. Question has been taken. Madam Speaker, you need to respond. We have little time. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I'll start with Andrew Magero on the issue of inclusion of citizens. I'm very strong on that point. Actually, in the final week of the last session, I threw out a loan request because when I saw who had been consulted, it was people, Minister of Education and two other people in Kampala. So I asked the chairman of the committee, did you go to talk to the students? Did you go to the technical schools? So I said, this consultation is not enough. I threw it out. So I have told them that when they're consulting, they should actually go beyond Kampala. They should get out and go to the countryside and find out what the people are saying. But in addition to that, what I'm doing is to create an application where if we publish a matter, you'll be able to sit in your village and say, I'm Andrew Magero, I'm calling from Jinja, but I've read Section 24. This is my opinion about it, so that we can get your views even if you have not come to Parliament. So that's an application I'm doing because I was not satisfied with the citizen participation in our work. So that's what I'm going to enforce during this new session. Now, Joel, party versus your own, the representation. For me, I think that's a question of conscience. That's why you know I'm the number 3 in our party. But I have fought for decisions of my party because I don't believe in them. For me, if it is okay with the Constitution, okay with the people, I'll go with it. Whatever my party says, and I think you know, I've been having skirmishes with my party, but that's because of that. Brenda, the issue for sexual harassment. You know, I think I want to commend the young people for coming out, because until they told me, I didn't know what was happening in some of those places. So I've put together a team. Actually, we are meeting on Wednesday with a number of senior leaders to lay strategies for how to deal with the issue of sexual harassment. I'd heard about it, that there were some members who were complaining about other members, but now it had gone to the staff. I was working on the other one, but now I'm going to work on both. But to say whether the MPs will support the issue when it comes, I think we'll have to use our best arguments to ensure that we make a law for the country, not for ourselves. But certainly it's an important issue that bothers me. What have we done about COSASE? COSASE report is ours. We're reporting to the country and reporting to the government. So we made recommendations, prosecute, dismiss, etc. That's why I said that after a few months, we expect the Minister of Finance to come and say, we have dismissed so and so. we have demoted so and so, we have made changes as we proposed. That's what we call the treasury memorandum. So we are still waiting. We can't act on them ourselves because we recommend it to other bodies. CID do this, etc. Felix, if you could actually write to me the village, the place, because we can trace the appropriations and find out whether they actually went. If you get me the information, I'll send the Committee of Agriculture to go back there and check whether it's there. Because it's true sometimes districts can report that this was done when it was not done. Sometimes people report that road was done, the road is not there. So if I get the information, I will send somebody there. Frank Otema, no, I objected to the citizens paying OTT for members. I refused. And I said cancel the contract. You know, our people anyway. There are people who thought that was a good idea. Yes, but how could you do this without telling me? So I said, no, I'm not going to accept. You cancel that contract. Members should pay their own OTT. And this is a tax on social media. The other taxes are others. Barazas. I think you're proposing barazas now in relation to the sexual harassment, because there are some barazas which the OPM has been doing. I've never attended any. I don't know what they discussed there. But yes, you wanted to compliment me?
Yes, the issue of the barazas is that they hold MPs accountable. And again, in these areas, in these barazas, you do civic education, which you are talking about. When citizens are taught about what they're supposed to do, what their MPs should do, then they are not called upon to only attend to their barriers that they don't know what they're actually supposed to do. So barazas are like forums or dialogues where citizens come on board with their duty bearers and they hold them accountable.
But you have outreaches.
But we have outreach. We go, okay, we may not reach everywhere, but we go and sit somewhere for some 3-4 days and we talk to leaders, talk to the people. I think we'll have to find a way of getting it across. But also, we have publications about the work of an MP, at least for you who read, you maybe get them. But I think we shall improve on the relationship between the members and their voters.
Okay.
Yes.
Madam Speaker, your concluding remarks.
Yes.
So many things you are doing, so many things coming up in Parliament. And when are we having the new chamber? You have CPC coming. Tell us in your concluding remarks.
Okay. If everything runs on schedule, I will have the new chamber in, I think, by June 2020 to improve on the accommodation. But in the meantime, in September, we're hosting the Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference. We haven't had it since 1967. So we are bringing all the Commonwealth countries here for about 10 days to visit the country, have discussions. So it's an opportunity to market Uganda. We are also going to ensure that they visit some parts of the country so they irrigate the economy there, as well as irrigating the economy in Kampala. We shall also have citizens. We shall have the citizens market at the venues and the different hotels so that those who are able to tap money from the delegates can do so.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, the Right Honorable Rebecca Kadaga Alitwala. Thank you so much. You, the audience out there from this auditorium at Wizards, thank you so much for having time to participate in this Face the Citizens. Until next week, have a good time. Good luck to you all.